welcome to Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Breakpoint. My name is James Oman, and I'll be your host today. Thank you very much for joining me, and let's get started. Just a bit of a disclaimer, I've spent several hours in the game, both closed beta and the open beta, so I should have a pretty good handle on the mechanics, so long as they haven't changed anything. Let's go ahead and get started. I played a little bit earlier, which is why you're seeing saves there. They ended up having a server maintenance, so I had to log out, and I figured I'd go ahead and start over for you. And let's get started. Beautiful place, this island of Auroa.
The incubator of World 2.0. My name's Dave, and we've been expecting you.
You have a supervillain hairdo.
You've been invited here to innovate, to invent, and to create. But we're also asking you to do the most important thing with your lives that you can do. Here, away from the rest of the world, we will build the tools to lead the planet into the future. A completely sustainable economy, a blossoming environment, safe homes, security for your family, and a community where innovation is celebrated. The generations that come after us may forget all about us, but they will thrive because of the work we do here. Thank you for joining Skeltech in Auroa. Together, we are building tomorrow.
They do a really good job of setting you up in this game, making you feel like you're weak. Starts off with letting you know that they're sending 32 ghosts on this particular operation when they typically only send 4. Midas and Weaver. Right, 4 helicopters full of badasses. What could go wrong, right? Alright, let's get ourselves put together here. This guy looks kind of badass, but unfortunately it's not me, so let's go ahead and start. Got some blue eyes, got some long hair and a scruffy beard. Make our hair brown, make sure we ain't got no scars, because who would touch this pretty face? Alright, let's do this! Well, that's never a good sound. Now would be a good time to shit yourself. You know you've had a bad day when you wake up upside down in a tree, bleeding. Now let's look around and see just how bad we got fucked. Here, look, front row seat. Demonstration of what just happened to you. And right about now is when I would be asking for my ticket home. That is so funny every time I see it. Oh, just that scene right there. That right there is the "you are really fucked" scene. 32 highly trained operatives fall out of the sky. Very few of them survive. Does a very good job of showing you just what kind of situation you're getting yourself into here. So, let's pull ourselves out of the mud, find ourselves a firearm, and let's get this party started. I guess it's a gun, but I mean, Whoever uses a pistol, right? Once again, welcome to Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Breakpoint. First step first, let's go ahead and do something about this bleeding we got going on here. Hobble a bit further away from the flaming helicopter. And let's go ahead and bandage some wounds up. This is one of the things that I like about this game. The survival system and injury system really gives a bit of pause to the things you're doing. You have to think things through and make sure that what you're doing isn't going to end with you being hobbled. Because being hobbled really does harm you in this game. Bringing me to my first point. The movement system. If you played Ghost Recon Wildlands, you'll probably remember that it was a lot floatier than a lot of other games might have felt. Your character was, I guess the best way to explain it, was too responsive. You could turn on a dime, and there didn't feel like there was any weight to your character in the way that they moved about the world. In this game, Breakpoint has done a really good job of remedying that. They give you a weight to your character. You feel like you're over your feet when you're moving, and you have to position yourself over your feet in order to move. When you're stopped, you'll find yourself kneeling, resting. The animation for that is to me very, very good. You're scanning your horizon to find out if there's anything that you need to worry about. And when you start to move again, you pull yourself up off the ground, position yourself over your legs, and then start moving. You can see and feel the weight of the character. Nomad feels a lot more substantial in the world this way. Let's go ahead and go check the first building here and see what we can find. Alright, here's a little bit. We've got some medical bits. Alright, doesn't seem like anything else in there. So we can go right out this window. Easy enough, vaulting across stuff. So the movement, like I said, much heavier. And to add to that, the injury system affects that movement in a fairly substantial way. If you're injured, you feel yourself hobble. If you are hobbling, you're a lot slower. You might not have the best aim when you're dealing with, injured arms like this. Oh, here we go. Problem solved. Alright, moving on to the next group. So, I was hoping to kind of sneak up on those guys and take them out melee, but one of the guys ended up turning around a little faster than I wanted to, but that's okay. Let's go ahead and search the bunkers around here and see if there's anything we can find. Alright, some medicals and explosives and some ammo. And then, okay. Moving on. Alright, here we go, another group of people. Let's go ahead and try to do these guys melee and get an idea of what they've changed in that field. In the last game, melee was really kind of not the focus. Taking troops out with melee attacks didn't seem to have any sort of flair to it whatsoever. They've done a magnificent job of fixing that problem in this game. When you kill somebody with a melee attack, it feels substantially brutal.
Was anyone even in there? If there was, they ain't anymore. That's messed up, man.
Alright, so we're going to go ahead and sneak right up behind this guy. He's not even going to know we're going to be in this bush. So here we go, and
Gotcha, bitch!
snap his neck. And we're going to move over to this next guy here. With any luck, he won't turn around before we get to him. Here we go. That's what we like to call tactical field heart surgery. Textbook open heart surgery right here on the battlefield. Unfortunately, the patient didn't survive. condolences to his family. Alright, moving on. Alright, here we go, moving to our objective. Here we go, a crate. So, we can do away with this damn pistol. So, you're going to find your first weapon in this crate. With any luck, it won't be anything too crap. Oh, that'll work. 553, that'll do. So, the loot system in this game is something that I've heard a lot of complaints about. And let's be completely honest. I get the criticism. I mean, it's a Ghost Recon game. You're not expecting a Ghost Recon game to have loot in it. Not in the traditional sense anyway. Sure, in Wildlands you cruised around and you found crates, you know, that were in enemy bases and things like that. And you could get weapons in there. And, you know, you found yourself kind of finding a kit that you enjoyed and then committing to that kit for most of the game. And you'll end up doing the same here. Don't let the loot system you know, confuse you or anything. It's definitely not what you think.
Shit. My soldiers.
So, because you fall out of the sky and you basically start with nothing, you know, having to get your enemy, you know, to basically front you your weapon doesn't really seem like it's too out of place. And finding weapons around the battlefield isn't really as abundant as you might think for a game like The Division or something like that, which is, I'm sure, what a lot of people are going to compare the game to. You just simply don't get that much loot. Every, you know, few enemies might drop something, but for the most part, you're going to find your kit and you're going to stick to it just like you would any other Ghost Recon game. And this system actually gives a lot more variety than the other systems did, especially in the early game. So you're not going to have to settle for, you know, what you've been able to pick up because of the specific base you've been able to find your way to. In this particular sense, you'll be able to try things out as they're doled out to you. And once you find the kit that you like, the weapon that you're going to be spending most of your time with, you'll learn how to upgrade that weapon. And just like any other Ghost Recon game, that'll be your kit. And there's no reason for you to change it once that time comes, at least in the first few hours of the game that I've played through the betas. Right here we're waiting for these guys to come around the corner. So let's go ahead and use the prone camo. Here we go. So prone camo is neat, if we can get it to work. Here we go. We were too close to something. So prone camo is one of the new systems that they've added to the game. It adds an extra layer of tacticality. It also is functionally necessary because there are drones in this world that cruise around looking for you and any other ghosts that might be roaming about. And if they spot you, they'll send a crew of wolves, which are rather tenacious soldiers, you know, led by Coldy Walker. And if you remember who he is, you know, he's quite the soldier. He's quite honor bound. He's very, you know, he's very big on, you know, on patriotism and things of that sort. All right, problem solved. So it's kind of interesting that that Coldy Walker is the protagonist in this game, and it leaves me to wonder whether or not what we're seeing so far is what's really going on, because when the character was presented in Operation Oracle in Ghost Recon Wildlands, you really got the feeling that Cole was the sort of person that didn't do anything without a reason. So with any luck, we'll find out a little bit more about what drove him to this before too long. So the class system in this game is another addition, something that Ubisoft added that I think really kind of fits the game and allows that extra layer of customization to your character, because every ghost kind of felt the same in the games before, and you never really were able to say I'm a specialist anything. Well, in this game you can. So we're going to go with the sharpshooter for a number of reasons, because first of all, we're playing a solo build right now, because let's face it, I don't have friends. But anyhow, you got the armor buster, a high penetration bullet with bonus damage and muzzle velocity. This is really good for a solo build because you're going to be able to deal with what I would consider the largest threat on the battlefield, and that's the drones. You don't encounter them as often as you might think in the first several hours of the game, but when you do, it's imperative that you're able to deal with them and deal with them fast. So the sharpshooter is really, in my opinion, so far that I found the best setup for that. You also come equipped with a sensor launcher, which is really damned useful. You come up to a base full of guys, lob a couple of these things in there, and it's going to mark every single enemy in that base, and it's going to save you a lot of time. So we'll start there, and let's go ahead and get back to it. So sharpshooters work best with sniper rifles and DMRs, so we're going to want to get a hold of one of those as soon as we can. What I noticed, though, is that the class that you choose does have some dictation as to what weapons you end up finding in crates. So if you have, a specialization that needs to be filled, then the crates seem to give you, the piece of equipment that you need. So, at least in the beta. We'll see if this holds true in the normal game. Alright, so far so good. One more. And where the hell are you, man? You think so? I am? Alright. There we go. Problem solved. So, let's see if this crate is going to be polite enough to give me a DMR or something. Sniper rifle. Probably going to give me a piece of gear, but let's see. Oh, here we go. First piece of gear. Let's go ahead and put that on. That helps us out. Good. Moving on. All right. So this is another thing that's kind of neat. So there's an in-game shop. Oh, a shotgun. That could be useful, I guess. So there's an in-game shop. And that in-game shop allows you to buy things like cosmetics and stuff like that. And it seems to all be, at least from what I've noticed so far, reliant on skull creds. Now, we'll see how that holds up once we get to that point. But it does seem that these skull creds are an in-game currency and not a microtransaction currency. So, that is, in my opinion, a good thing.
Some of you have got to be alive.
Right, here's our second downed helo. Let's go ahead and find out what's going on here.
Stormcloud 1-1, this is Weaver, come in, over. This is Weaver, come in, over.
Anything?
Ugats. Contact!
I love these guys' armor. I really hope I can get a set of it. The trench coat, poncho, rain slicker thing is nice.
Shall we, Weaver?
Yep, you just shot my friend in the face, Cole. That might have been the last mistake of your life. Okay, so.
Walker. What the hell are you doing?
Okay, so we just saw that Cole D. Walker shot our friend in the face. And it tells us we're in a dangerous area. Let's talk about this a little bit. So, the bad guys in this are level locked. And I don't mean locked as in you can't engage them. I mean locked as in each of them has a gear score. And your gear score is compared to them. And if your gear score doesn't match up to them, you get a little skull above their head. It can be a black skull or a red skull. Now, either or, those guys are going to be tough for you to deal with. Not impossible, but tough. I could, if I was very smart and very deliberate, take these guys out. If I managed to do that without them spotting me, I could get away with it. Let's see here. This guy here looks like he's far enough away that he might not get spotted. So we can, bam, take him out with a headshot. So, see, they are not invincible by any stretch of the imagination, but they aren't going to be fun if they spot you. So let's go ahead and reposition a little bit more, and let's see if we can. Oh, seems like they might have found me. Okay, let's go ahead and keep trying. There's nothing that says we can't go ahead and do this if we're real careful about it. Oh, here they come. Ooh. Alright, let's go ahead and see if this is something we can deal with. Okay. So, they're looking for me. They're looking for me good. And we start off with no drone, and that's a thing that's going to be a detriment to this particular section of the game. So, here we go. Cruising around here. Do we have... Right, there's another guy. Alright, this seems to be going pretty smooth. So, this is just a demonstration for you guys so you know that it's not impossible to deal with these guys. It is just dangerous. But... Oh, there we go. They saw me. So now, let's see if we can get away from them before they get me. Alright, here's where that prone camo comes in real handy. Get down, folks. Okay, so. They don't even look like they're chasing me. Okay, that's okay. 2 more guys. We can go ahead and take them. I'm not going to let the crew that killed my buddies get away from this. Cole might have flown away, but I'm going to go ahead and take his wolves out. So far, so good. It looks like we've got 2 or 3 left. We should be able to do this just fine if we keep up with our vigilance. Let's go ahead and circle around this way and see if we can't catch them off guard. Seems like we're in great shape so far. Okay, here we go. So far, they have no idea where the heck I am. Let's go ahead and make sure. Get out of that water. That's not going to work. Come on. There we go. 1 guy left. There we go. We should be able to do this. Oh, Looks like we might have more than one guy left, but that's okay. We got this. And all she wrote, we're good. Alright, so there we go. Just to kind of show you how easy it is for you to be able to deal with a crew of wolves if you're careful. Now, direct engagement would have ended in a much different fight. In a very different fight. But luckily I was able to clear them out pretty easily. Yeah, because your leg wouldn't get infected running through this fucking water. Okay, here we go. A couple of more operatives up here. We'll be able to take care of them with no problem. And there we go, moving up. Two more contacts. Contacts down. Clear. And here we go. So that's interesting. So it seems like it automatically picked up the loot. That's something that it wasn't doing in the beta. So we'll see if that continues to be the case here, or if that was some sort of like achievement pickup or something. I can't quite say I know.
Like this, no one's walking away. You account to everyone who's supposed to be on those crews. Got that? I'm not gonna be responsible for those guys turning up a lie and
Clear. Alright, so that group was pretty easy to take out, and we can go ahead and make it to our next fallen helo. Let's find out what happened here. And oh look, another crate. If we're lucky, this one might be the one that gives us what we need. Our class weapon is going to be a sniper rifle or a DMR. So, cross your fingers, folks. Alright, what do we have? Hey, look at that. Indeed, we have a DMR. So let's replace that with our G28. And there we go. Now we're a little bit better set up, and we can move on. Alright. Let's see what this radio is.
Mayday. Mayday. This is Ghost Lead. Does anyone read?
5 Ghost Lead.
Who is this?
A friend. I got the radio from a ghost.
This ghost still breathing?
Ghost Lead, you can chase the White Rabbit.
Or run with the Red Queen? Give me a sit rep.
That can wait. Your man's getting medical treatment. Follow the trail behind the ancient ruins. Your destination is in the mountains between two waterfalls.
Understood. Ghost Lead out.
Alright, let's go ahead and move on. Looks like we have a group of assholes up here. Man, I suck today. Oh. There we go. Well, aren't I embarrassed? Hey, look, gloves. Those will definitely help to keep my hands warm. And increased my gear skill. Do we have a hat? We do. I don't see. Oh, well, I didn't think that was going to look so good. But you know what? I'll take it. I'd never wear a damn cowboy hat in real life. But, you know. Alright, moving forward. So, I am passing up a bunch of vehicles, and it's not because I don't like to drive. The driving mechanics in this game are vastly improved from Wildlands. The weight of the vehicles, just like the weight of Nomad cruising around, feels a lot more substantial. It feels like they're a bit more tied to the ground. But there is something a little bit, I guess, more rewarding in cruising around on foot and making sure that you don't miss any, any little installments of people, any, groups of bad guys, any homesteads, or, I guess in at least the beginning of hours of the game, any loot crates that could get you that one, perfect piece of gear that you're missing. Driving around, I think you're going to miss a lot of the map.
Any rules. Don't think for a second that someone couldn't have gotten lucky as shit and walked away intact. Oh, man.
My goodness. That guy was a little wily. My aim just sucks today, but that's okay. We'll get into our groove. As soon as we get into our groove, these guys are going to have a whole lot more difficulty dodging. Oh, hey, look, another crate. And Skeld credits, 500 worth. Here we go. Now, here, you can kind of see what I mean by more weight. Climbing up these hills, you can see it puts a lot more burn in those calves, just by how he moves. Now, I've noticed it's a little bit jumpy in some of the directional transitions, but I'm sure that's something that they'll iron out as it goes. I'm sure that the weight system is not, just a simple movement system, so it's got processes it needs to work out as you're commencing your movements and things. So it's expected that some of this stuff might not be 100% smooth, but other than that, I think it's a vast improvement over Wildlands and other shooters in the genre even. Oh, it makes me kind of want to yodel. Mountain climbing and all that. Alright. Now, see, here's what I'm talking about. You just kind of cruise along in a car. You might not stop to pick this stuff up because, stopping and getting out of the car, getting back into the car. At least for me, that was always tedious. And it felt like a whole lot more of a chore than just cruising around on foot did. But in Wildlands, it wasn't interesting to cruise around on foot. And that's just because the things were spread out so few and far between. They've done a lot to make it seem like the world is a lot more occupied this time around. Same thing you run into in Wildlands, you'll run into here, and that's collecting of intel, and that intel is going to, unlock locations on the map that you can go and visit and find more things. And there are just so many places that you can visit, so many things that you can find, so many little groups of people you can talk to, so many little groups of enemies sort of squirreled away in the map that I never saw a reason to get into a vehicle. Now, that's going to change as the game goes on, I'm very sure, but as it sits right now, it seemed to me like the best way to make sure you didn't get anything is just to be on foot. So here seems to be something below me. I am not going to go rooting around for that just yet. I'm very sure I'll be able to find it, but right now I'm going to go ahead and move on to our next site. Goodness gracious. You know them legs have got to be hurting by now. He's going to be noodle-legged by the time we get where we're going. But good thing that where we're going is a camp. Now, another thing that I'm kind of surprised so far, I haven't seen any enemy convoys cruising down this road. Typically, it doesn't take very long for one of them to come about. And that's another thing that this prone camo mechanic works really well for, is if you see a car cruising down the road, just kind of go over to the shoulder, lay down, cover yourself in mud, and they drive right past you without even, having a second look. Oh, and here we go. Looks like we've got some assholes up here around the corner. That'll be easy enough to take care of. My goodness. So, I am embarrassing myself left and right today. Are we good? No, we're not good. Oh, there he is. So, that's one thing that I've already noticed, is the weapons seem a little less substantially impactful than they did in the beta. It could be just me not aiming correctly or whatnot, but also it does seem to take a few more chest shots in order to put a guy down than it did in the beta. But then they could have just been making the beta a little bit more accessible to people. It also could have something to do with a difficulty level, but I'm not exactly 100% sure. I just know that in my beta playthrough, I was taking these guys out with a lot more efficiency. When I was hitting them, of course, we're gonna ignore the fact that I was, spraying wildly all over the damn place there. All right. So I do think, just to kind of give you an idea of what I mean by weightier filling vehicles, if you can see it in the video, I'm not sure if you can or not. We're going to go ahead and take this buggy on up the hill to the camp. Oh, before we do that, let's go ahead and go down here and grab this crate, because it is a fairly accessible one. We don't have to go hunting for it. Oh, don't fall. Okay, here's another thing. Okay, so that weight system, if you're coming down a hill or something like that, you really have to plan and prepare for slowing down and stopping. So if you're coming down a hill and there's a cliff or something, I'm going to suggest that you walk it, because if you don't, you can sort of inertially go right over that cliff, as I just tried to demonstrate. What's in this box? Let's see if it's anything interesting. And, oh, hey, an LMG. Now, not something I'm going to use, but that will come in handy in a little while, as I will demonstrate once we get to the camp. Nothing is truly useless in this game, because materials are going to be important, and like I said, those skull creds that you use to buy some of the cosmetic things, and also some weapons and attachments for weapons and things of that sort, you can sell these weapons to the merchants in order to get those skull creds. So they've done a really good job of sort of implementing that's not the right seat to get into, buddy, of implementing the loot system. So once you get your kit, when you're still picking up the pieces of equipment around the world, the story kind of tells you that you're helping to supply the weapons merchants that are kind of helping the resistance on the islands. So in my opinion, the loot system fits the narrative really, really tightly. If that is a thing that you're worried about, I would say give it a try. Spend several hours in the game, 10, 15, before you say, hey, this isn't for me. Because I believe the loot system falls into the background once you get your kit streamlined, and it really starts being more about those skill credits and that tuning your character, getting the right attachments, getting the right pieces of, visual equipment to make yourself look the way you want to look.
Stop right there! Who are you?
I was invited. Who the hell are you?
Another one. You can always turn around and go back down the mountain.
Things are a little tense, you know? Just watch how you handle that weapon. We don't allow shooting in Erewhon.
And what's Erewhon?
The cave, so we call it. Get in.
Jeez, that guy has an attitude. And here we are, ladies and gentlemen, Erewhon. This is the main base and the place where you're going to do most of your setting up. Your main mission prescribers are here, and if you ask me, it's actually kind of a beautiful place. Well situated. One big ass hole in the roof of the cave, and be pretty difficult to start any shit with these guys here. So
What is this place?
seems like a pretty defensible place for me. They throttle your moving around in here, but just hold shift and you'll get a good trot on. It's not too bad. So we'll start with this guy here.
Welcome back. What's going on with
Are you boys all right or what?
We're the only two left in our chalk. No radio, no drones. Between the two of us, we got 2 rifles and 8 mags.
Locals got water here. And some supplies.
Can you believe this place, man? God damn.
Our mind's blown.
Yep.
And they're friendly more or less, but they're still keeping us on a short leash.
You boys know what took out our birds?
No clue. But there are definitely hostiles out there.
Tangled with some troops out there who were calling themselves wolves. You know who we're dealing with?
Now you're dealing with me.
You the one in charge here?
Who's asking?
My call sign's Nomad. I'm the officer in charge of this operation.
By operation, I assume you mean the massively wild screw-up.
Hey, old man. You playing nice?
I'm just trying to find out why a bunch of grunts are falling from the sky into our laps, honey.
Well, someone sank a naval cargo ship off the coast. Then the entire archipelago of Auroa went dark. Now, we were sent here to figure out what happened. Next thing we know, our choppers were taken down. Almost half of my soldiers are dead.
Best we can tell, there's some kind of military takeover. Sentinel, military contractors, they put this place under martial law, using the old boot-in-the-neck technique to enforce it.
Scaltech is still making all the high-tech stuff they always make. Except maybe now they're making more weapons. Not exactly the libertarian utopia Jay Skell advertised.
Where can I find Jay Skell?
The head of Scaltech himself. We haven't seen him, but his drones are keeping an eye on his islands.
So you think he's still a part of this?
We're just not sure why.
All right. Well, I'll put figuring it out on my to-do list. For now, I see our wounded.
Yeah. One of your guys needs to rest, but he won't shut up. Calm him down, yeah? and then come find me. I'll give you the guided tour.